Hello everyone, Mhakey is here and welcome to our newest installment on my channel. This is what you call Mhakey News of the Week, sponsored by absolutely no one. So let me just tell you what is it about. This is about the news that is going on for the past 7 days in League of Legends. All the transfers, the happenings, the news, the league purpose, all this kind of stuff. Now, I have one rule in order for this to happen. Now, consider the circumstances we are in League of Legends. I am not going to talk about what is going on in the ESWC or the whole Saudi thing that is all called it, because I don't think, listen, here's the thing. Yes, do I really want to talk about it more? Sure. But the more I kind of talk about it, the more it's going to like drain me or like be bogged down, of course. And I'm going to be like fat and non-healthier than Richard Lewis. Even though, listen, no disrespect to Richard Lewis and all the people who are doing the journalists. That's for the journalism and the other people that are going to be taken care of. Me, I like to keep this in-house, talking about League of Legends. I know it's not something, listen, I know you're going to be disappointed because of it, but listen, I just want to talk about League of Legends, okay? That's my channel's all about. Listen, I talk about it just a little bit, but talking about it that much is going to like bog me down, and it's not good enough. When I will have to talk about it, we don't know. But for now, I'm just gonna be like, keep it down low until I feel like I'm ready to talk about it, or maybe just like don't talk at all. My mom always told me if you can't say anything nice about anything, do not say anything at all, and I just wanted to keep it that way. So, with that being said, let's just talk about what's going on with the news of the day for June 11, 2024, this week. Now, despite the slow start and the subpar scrim results, I believe that G2 are still favorites to win summer. Now, the G2 public fandom is going to be like, we're 1-2. We look bad. We're not looking like the same team that dominated MSI. What is this team? They look horrible. They look uncooperated. The drafts are not looking great. And listen, that's the G2 fandom part of it. The league part of it and the fandom in myself is just telling you, guys, you're asking G2 Esports and Caps and all the other players to have high-level play-in style or high-level play-in intensity after coming from MSI. Like, that is hard enough right now. To go from MSI playing a different patch, playing this high-intensity tournament against high-intensity teams, and then come back to the LEC, playing a different patch, and have to ask them to play high-intensity again. I do not think that's going to happen. In fact, I look at Roman's scrim results from X on Twitter, and the team is like 50-50 on the scrim results. It was 15-15 on the scrim results, which proves that they're good and they're not great, and they show that they have a lot of work to do. But I am not that kind of person, or I'm not that kind of fan that is ready to push the panic button after 1 week. We know what G2 are capable of when it comes to best of fives and best of threes. We know what G2 are capable of in international events. And we know what G2 are capable of when the pressure is like on them. And listen, while SK and BDS are looking decent, K-Corp for the first time look like a legit team, and while Vitality looks poop, Man looks unimpressive, Fnatic looks really good, listen, until G2 does not win the LEC, then I'm not ready to call like the LEC like wide open. I just don't. It's the same thing with like, and I'm just going to use the same analogy in football, Manchester City right now. Oh, look, Manchester City are losing games. They're slipping. It looks like, wow, it's going to be a new champion or something. And you're talking about this in like early September and probably October or something. When we get to March, when we get to April, when we get to May or something, then when Manchester City start winning games and all kind of stuff, then the inevitability happens. G2 are going to make playoffs, which is going to be like the most surefire thing ever. They're going to be like a 5-4 teams. Everybody going to be down on them in the playoffs. But once you give them a best of 3, best of 5 format, in which Dylan Falco's mastery is going to be put into this, I think it's going to be all over for them. And don't get me wrong, the SKBDS's teams are looking good right now. They're both 3-0s, of course. So does Fnatic, and they're looking pretty good right now. in regular season form. Once we get to like postseason and bracket stage, of course, then I'm still thinking G2 is going to win it all. I think G2 are just too good, too professional, and too composed, or being too dominant enough to let it stop. Listen, I already said that in my preview video, is that G2 can go to Riyadh and still be good enough to win these summer splits. That's how good they are right now. They can go to Riyadh and they still win the summer split. So I'm not panicking for any G2 fans right now. I'm not. If you're a G2 fan, do not look at these results. Do not look at these scrims. Are just like they're washed. They're bad. It's week 1, guys. You're overreacting to just a few scrims in week 1. It's too much for me. It's like Chiefs fans are just worried when they lost to the Lions, for God's sakes. Like, come on, man. Calm down. Let Dylan Falco and Roman cook, and they'll be fine. They will be fine, okay? They'll be fine, okay? Guys, I'm just saying this right now. G2 Esports are going to be fine. And then once they win Summer Split, then this whole week 1 thing will be blown out of proportion. Trust me on that. So, upset is pretty much, pun intended, upset about the casting criticism on the broadcast. There was a Reddit post, of course, on it. I will see if I can just find it. So, from his Twitter handler, he said, I do not understand why some casters have to push such negative narratives without giving important context or considering how them saying it on the main broadcast can affect players and their careers in a huge way. No nuance, just essing on people when they are in bad moment. I think he also talked about like Targamas having a subpar play style this split, and for Vedios to say that Upset ended up 3 times 10 plays in previous splits. I mean, I can understand where Upset is coming from. Listen, Upset is one of the most pretty decent players in all of LEC right now. He's been pretty legitimate. And the fact that, a professional caster like Vedios to say on that one, and listen, I may not agree with him or may not agree with Upset, but listen, you got to be understanding that these are professional players, and some of the players have feelings, man. Some feelings will get hurt because of this. And, I can understand what Upset is coming from, man. The guy guys have like 2 bad splits with K-Corp, having 1 bad split with Vitality. He's probably like a punching bag of the teams right now. And that's not fair to him. He's a legit good player. And for like Vedios, yes, that's the caster's name. Sorry about that. To call in and out, it's just like, it's not good, man. It's not good. And I think this is kind of like hearkening to what Richard Lewis is just saying when I watched the video yesterday about the whole media thing and buying out of the kind of stuff. It's that we're in a situation of fans attacking fans, casters attacking players, players attacking players, and all that kind of stuff. We're into that mix of like, we're not dealing with the top issues right now. We're just only dealing with internal issues. And, man, it's not looking good for him. It's not looking good for Upset. I hope right now with K-Corp looking really good and really legit right now, that maybe this narrative of him being like a bottom 10 team or not having a good split, I think this is his chance to prove everybody wrong. Now, do I believe that K-Corp are good enough to win LEC split? Not even close. But I believe that this is his opportunity to rewrite the narrative of what everybody's saying. And I think he can do that. I think he can do that right now. So yeah, other than Vitality being absolute poop, throwing away games and all kind of stuff, and Man Lions looking really unimpressive, I feel like the LEC is just it's where it's supposed to be. Like, the decent teams are decent enough. G2 are kind of like having their sea legs back together, of course. And you got the bottom teams being like bottom with Giant X and Rogue and all that kind of stuff. So, nothing too much to say about the LEC right now. Let's move on to the bigger news of the Americas. So, let's just look for the big news of the day. Okay, so let's just see. So CBLOL, LLA, and LCS is going to merge together. Let's see what the reaction is right now. Let's see how many people... Oh, right. They're saying that it declared the end of the West for LOL in general. And it said it'll destroy all 3 leagues. And we rather see the worst team here and the end of competitiveness in the West. Okay. And let's see what Monte Cristo said. Oh, wait. Monte Cristo said that the LCS ratings are going up, and they decided to merge this thing right now, and it's gonna be a legit bad idea. Huh. So the merger that everybody expected it to happen and wanted it to happen is now feeling like, you know, nobody wants it and nobody wants to see that happening. Like, okay, now let me get you my thoughts. I said this is kind of like an overreaction to this. Right now, we've seen this in Valorant, in which, like, the whole scene is kind of like one big America's League with loud face and energy and all kind of stuff. Maybe this might work for League, but I can totally understand where these people are coming from. Now, listen, let me just be honest with you from a Western perspective. The West have not doing anything great right now in terms of like international performances and all this kind of stuff. So I can understand with a lot of feeling that this may be like the end of the road for the Western hope, of course, except for like LEC as such. But since LEC is now merged with the EMEA, that is another issue that I want to take. But I can understand where these people are coming from. What my action will be is like, I feel like this is gonna be a decent, good thing. I feel like this might be a good thing, and I think we have to wait and see what all the details are gonna be about. Of course, I have like a Power Spike episode that is gonna be involved in this, so I'm gonna listen to this and see what the reaction will be. But from an initial like reaction right now, it just feels like I can understand where these people are feeling. They would rather watch the worst team ever perform decently than rather having like one worst team from one region getting absolutely clapped on, and that's just it. So I can pretty much understand what it's gonna be like. And I can totally understand if the merger is gonna kill the competitive driveness of the league. I maybe think so. But you have to look at it from the viewership standpoint right now. The LCS is not looking great from a viewership standpoint. They made some few changes. They made decently well, but from a viewership standpoint, it's been not looking great right now. So I just feel like I can understand what they're feeling. This is just the initial report. We don't know anything about reporting. We don't know the details yet. But from what I know right now, it's happening. The three leagues will merge. And I think you just have to, like, embrace it, of course. That's it. That is what it is. Speaking of Power Spike, let's just welcome our newest member for the LCK family. It's your own boy, D-Gon. Now, I feel like right now, I've been watching D-Gon. I watched a few interviews with him. I watched some Power Spike with him. I think D-Gon is a perfect person for the LCK right now. He can do his interviews well. He can cast really well. He did one type of casting for like LCS one time. And I heard everybody I sing high praises for him. Yeah, like one time he done casting and then that's it. Like, hello, not great. He can do hosting, of course. He already done hosting for the Collegiate League, of course, for the Collegiate Tournament, of course. So I think this guy has so much range, of course. And when you put this guy on a region, when you have like Atlas and Ox and LOL in some cases and Huni, you put those personalities together in a already stacked league of talent, and it's just like, wow, LCK has some legit talent. Now, the problem is for him that I'm not sure if he can get to Worlds, of course. Now, I'm not sure he can probably get a World spot, of course, hosting and all kind of stuff. But because of the whole legitimacy of right now with casting payment rates and all the kind of stuff, I feel like he might get canned over by Riot again if he doesn't get like a World spot or anything. But because he have a lofty job with the last Free Nation and all the hosting and that kind of stuff, I think it'll be fine. I think it's kind of like test the waters, see if it does well, and if it's a long-term solution, great. If it doesn't, that's fine. You know, the esports thing is already screwed up anyway. So, yeah. But hey, listen, D-Gon deserves this. He earned his flowers. He deserves his chance. He's gonna be in a bigger region, and good for him. Good for him right now. Let's look at the LPL right now. So anyone's legends are looking like probably the most dark horse team. There are 3-0 at the time of recording from this group, and they're looking pretty good right now. They're looking like a pretty good team. Meanwhile, FPX are kind of like they are not looking great. The whole Jana Lu general manager fight And I'm not gonna get, well, I'm not gonna get deep into it, but it's kind of like a fighting of like styles and play styles, of course, and it really hurts the team. Like you saw this game against EDG, they looking absolutely destroyed out there. They look lost. They look really bad, and I feel bad for Milky Way. I feel horribly bad for Milky Way. Milky Way has gone from one bad team situation in RNG to a team that looks like they are looking like a real good contender to like challenge the top 4 to not looking like another dysfunctional team again. Now, maybe this might be blown over, of course, and not be playing better, but right now, the whole situation, it looks like it really affects the team. It looks like it really affects the team right now. And I just don't have any good feelings for them going forward right now. So yeah, it's just sad, man. Listen, I put LEG as my top 4 as my 4th team to make it to Worlds, but I feel like it's they, NIP, and maybe FPX for that spot. And to see FPX right now capitulated in this moment, it's not making good. It's not making good at all. Cube is now out of OMG. Similar situation. By the way, Cube is in a similar situation as the FPX. Not as big dire, but still. Harry is now on the team, Hery, and he's going to replace him for the top lane. I don't think it's a much bigger change. They're 0-2 right now. They're not looking as great. I think it's probably an upgrade for the upgrade's sake, to save face, of course, for the team. So I just feel like, yeah, not much to say about it. T1, they got DDoS again. The DDoS game, the DDoS matchup with T1 it's undefeated right now. DDoS is really undefeated against T1 right now. It's gonna be pretty bad for them. Like, let me just look at my tier list. So my tier list have T1 as probably an A tier team, which means that they're good, but I just don't think they're good enough to like beat Gen G right now. Like when I look at it right now, I feel like Gen G are kind of like the clear favorites to win LCK right now. And that's pretty much what it is. I think T1 looks absolutely shaky in MSI. Faker is not looking great. The only thing he's going to be here for is like the money grab and all kind of stuff. The bag. And I mean the bag in not Saudi terms, and more like the bag in like Ari skins and such. So, actually that's also true, but so he's not been doing well. And that's fine. Listen, you have a 20-plus-year-old Faker who is not having the best hands right now with a limited champion pool, but only brains, which is good, which is okay, which is like if you're a T1 fan, that's fine. Oh wait, you're not sensible T1 fans? Fine then. All right then. Okay. Carry on. But still, right now, I do not see this T1 team looking good enough to beat Gen G. I think Gen G are like leaps and bounds the best team in the world right now, that are good enough to like go for the for the Grand Slam right now. And for this DDoS attack to happen, it's really going to affect their game plan. Like, remember, the LCK does not start until like Thursday at the time of recording, and it's going to be like it's going to be rough for them. Now, maybe their first couple of matches will be easy. I think they're probably going to face... let me just see who they face in their first week. I think their opponents are going to be a little bit easier in the first week, or it's going to be a little bit hard. So we'll find out what T1 is going to be made of in the first couple of weeks. So, it's going to be really interesting with all the DDoS situation, how they're going to play out. So their first week is going to be against Nashim Red Swords, and then, oh Jesus, you're facing Gen G in the 16th of June. Okay, LCK, can I tell you something? Why put the match? Listen, I'm gonna be brutally honest with you. Why do you have to put your most premium matchup in the first week of LCK? Like, I just want a reason. Like, you're asking T1 and Gen G, and just like I said before about G2 playing for MSI, you're asking two teams that come from MSI to play on the first real legit matchup of the year, of the split. Like, that's not right. I am sorry, but that's not right at all. That's not right scheduling wise. Like, I understand why, but listen, you're putting these two teams in a big match on the second matchup of ever. It's like, dude, either schedule them on like the third week and be fine with that, or just like not schedule them in the first week. Like, this is just bad. This is just bad scheduling from the LCK, and I'm not saying that much, but this is as bad as like putting 4 players on the same team as your first team or something. It's not good. What is the reason? I mean, I get viewership wise, but what is the reason, for God's sakes? Man, that's just not good. Anyways, rant over about that. Anyways, T1 will have Notch and Red Force and Gen G this week. I think they'll go 1-1, and I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be fine for the next couple of games. They'll have D+, Kia, and then Quandong Freaks, and then we'll see where it goes from here. And hopefully with practice they'll do that. But with the D-Dot situation, it's gonna be rough for them. It's gonna be really rough for them. Raptors replacing Wilder in the jungle for Fearax. I don't see this as a legitimate thing. I have Fearax in my D tier, of course, in my rankings list that I already posted up on my X, of course. So I feel like it's not much of a big upgrade for me. Score. For those who don't know Score, he is a top laner for KT Roster all those years. One-time LCK champion. He coached the Gen G team to 3 straight LCK titles. And now he's coaching the team that used to have Quad in Shadow Corp Gaming. So this is a esports team and a management staff, of course, a management agency, of course. And they got some younglings, of course, going to play in like an academy or play in one of those monthly academy leagues, of course, which is going to be huge. That is kind of like a big, I'm not saying a big downgrade, but for him personally, I think it's going to like get back into coaching chops, develop the players, nurture them and all kind of stuff. And listen, we all know that Korea is really highly competitive, of course, when it comes to League of Legends and when it comes to like fostering young talent and kind of stuff. So being coached by one of the best coaches in all of LCK will be pretty good for like a youngster, of course. And as I mentioned, of course, this organization have Quad in it, who, speaking of Quad, and we'll shift back to the LCS, is now replacing Jensen for the mid lane in FlyQuest. Magnificent. The experiment just died like a spring split and one crappy MSI matchup later. How fantastic. I do not see FlyQuest as a legit team anymore. I think the bot lane is kind of like, they did fine, but the whole Inspired Jensen thing kind of like ruins it. Of course, Whipple is kind of like, he's great, and then he's not sometimes. I think this FlyQuest team is pretty much not winning the LCS for me. I think another team that is good enough to win LCS is probably Dignitas. They got Jensen, they got Licorice, and they got Sven. And they got Treats as coach. And I feel like right now, if I were Dignitas, I feel like this is probably the best Dignitas teams I look right now in like a long while. We haven't seen Dignitas being this good since like the Clutch Gaming days. Way back in 2019, of course, with Huni in the spot. That's what it feels like to me. And I feel like Dignitas could be good enough to compete and probably good enough to like sneak a final world spot, of course. But it's going to be a wait and see process. We'll see that, of course, when like the best of 3s will come into it. So, they got Jensen, they got Spica, they got Licorice, they got Sven, they got Isles, of course, in their support. I feel like this is like a good team enough to make it to Worlds. Mark my words, they'll be a good team to make it to Worlds. Although I picked Shopify Rebellion to make it to Worlds, I feel like Dignitas could challenge that spot, of course. Let's see right now. So, let's look at the news from the other world. Let me just look. Team BDS, by the way, are now 5-1 ahead of K-Corp Blue in the LFL standings. That's the ERL regions, of course, I'm talking about. Rumbod Club is perfect in 6-0. It's 6-0 in the Superliga. Misa Esports is in 4-0 so far in the TCL. Eintracht Spandu, who by the way won the ERL, who won the EMEA Masters tournament, of course, are now top of the league at 7-1 behind Schalke 04 in URL at Sexy Edition. So that's going to be some stuff from the ERLs. And let me just give you a congratulations to the St. Louis University on winning the 2024 Collegiate Championship by beating Maryville University 3-1. Maryville are like a legit team in the collegiate LCS. They got a big branding deal, of course, with the NACL. And for St. Louis to beat them, it's pretty much a shock to me. It's pretty much a big upset, of course. Now, here's why this is kind of like important. Well, it's not important because, of course, nobody watches the NACL like many other people. Like, I'm sorry, that's true. But the one thing I want to say about the NACL is that call it the Collegiate League of Legends. Like, by God, the downfall is pretty much steep. If you thought the LCS downfall is bad, holy cow, the Collegiate one is downfall. We went from, like, having games in the studio and having D-Gon as a host, of course, and having matches being there, to now, like, playing in, like, online games, offline in Boise, and, like, nothing. So it's kind of, like, really sad to not watch some Collegiate 1. I know many people, listen, I know Collegiate is not your thing, but I can tell you something. To not have to watch Collegiate, it's not great. It's not great for some of the fans, if you care about it or all. That's pretty much it. Happy birthday to Oscarin, the Fnatic top laner. He's now 21 years old right now, and I hope he can develop, of course. I think this Fnatic team is looking like good enough to maybe finally win an LEC split. Now listen, I know G2 are good, but can we have anything but G2 to win the split? And if there's anybody who can win the LEC other than G2, can we have Fnatic for once? Please? Please? That's all I'm going to say. Thank you everybody for listening and all that kind of stuff. If you like the video, please like this video. If you want to subscribe, please subscribe and all that kind of stuff. I will see you next week. And I will see you later. Ciao, everyone.